So welcome to another video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander.
And I'm Grant.
And today we're doing our monthly debrief for June of 2024. I feel like we just released one of these about 2 weeks ago.
did.
Because we did. So I feel good that we're a bit more on top of this, and hopefully you're seeing this pretty soon in the month.
Oh, this is the holiday weekend, so we have a little more time this week.
Had a bit more time.
All day yesterday, and we had today too. So,
but June was a month where I feel we were kind of, because May almost skews with things like Buckeye Game Fest in there.
Yeah.
June was a bit more of a more traditional Players Aid schedule of things that we would normally play. So we did play a good chunk of games, but it wasn't like 50,000 like it was in the 2-hour long debrief last.
Like you said, May was really different. So, but I will say this: upcoming July, I mean, you're going to spend some time with family. I'm going to WBC, where I'll probably play 6 or 8, maybe 10 games.
You'll have a ton of war games. I will be playing not war games.
Euro games. Does anybody in your family have ARCs?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Not that I know of yet. But yeah, it's we've got a couple games carved out for July, but again, we have like 2 or 3 weeks of playtime in reality before we split off. You'll again go to WBC and play a bunch. So we'll have a lot more then, and then we're into August, and then this month we booked travel and accommodation to go to San Diego Historicon in November, so I'm very excited about that. And I'm already thinking of like, okay, what can we play out there? Because I know we got, I think last month, I couldn't remember the game that we talked about, and it was Greek Tragedy, because that's a 2v2.
4-player, yeah.
Which, I think that would be a neat one to take, because it doesn't take too long.
And we could take that, like, because there's just bags of cards and a small board.
You can like fit that in.
Yeah.
Without
put
breaking
it in the backpack. Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm not taking any big boxes.
No, that
on
was
the
a mistake
airplanes
last
again.
year.
We lamented over that last episode, but I still am upset every time I look at my Fire in the Lake. It's got a split box. I don't like that.
Yeah. And no, and it's, and then we like, you get there and then someone's already got it.
Well, yeah.
I don't know why we did that.
Yeah.
What, real quick, I know you've been starting to make plans for WBC. What's the thing?
Oh, yeah.
Someone was asking about that. That's not enough for a topic, but I was like,
sure. So I mean, obviously I'll be there for 4 days. So I'm going on Wednesday morning, and I'm leaving super early. I think I'm leaving at 5:30 because I'm trying to meet Gregory Smith at noon. So I got to leave early because it's a 6-hour drive.
Yes, it is.
And so I'm going to meet with Greg Smith. I'm going to play his newest upcoming solo game called Sinking Yamato, the Japanese battleship during World War II. We're going to play that. He's going to show me, I think, his Insurgent Tide, which is kind of Iraqi or Afghanistan style tide system like his other games. So we're going to look at that, and then something else I can't remember. But he'll be first. Then I'm meeting with Dave Stifler, who is a developer for the Battles of the American Revolution from GMT. He's going to show me the new small BOAR game, Cowpens, which was a battle in South Carolina. Very excited about that. Bruno Sinigaglio is designing that one. I don't know if he'll be there or not. Mark Miklos will not be there.
Really?
Yeah, but I'm going to meet with Dave, and then that evening, Mark Herman and I assume a couple of his friends, are going to play Pericles. So that's Wednesday. Thursday, I don't have any concrete stuff, but I have a lot of things on the docket. I know I'm going to try to play a game of Arcs with our friends Russ and Cullen, and we even talked about John Company as well. I will take that. I am going to take Greek Tragedy and play that with the Blue Panther guys.
Nice.
Because they know the rules and they can teach me. It's not hard, but we can play it first. And then I do want to sit down with like Grant and Mike Wiley. I want to talk to the MMP guys. I know you gave me a shopping list if they have stuff.
Yep.
I'm probably going to be really dangerous this year, so because I'll be alone. You won't be able to say, no, we don't need that.
Oh, I fully will just, yes.
So that's going to be scary. But I'll try to be reasonable. But then I'll try to speak to a bunch of other people. I mean, there are tons of designers that will be there.
Yeah, it's one of those venues where you can't, like, you walk up to every table and someone's done something is currently working on something.
Yeah.
They have so many demo tables going on.
Well, I think back over the years, just the little games that we've met with people and discussed. Some of those still haven't come out.
Yeah.
Pontiac's War from John Paniski, I think that's in development hell, maybe. Remember that Blue Jackets War?
Blue Jackets War was coming from Compass.
That was 2 years ago. Haven't heard anything about that. The Zoin, the zombie coin game, he's still working on that. But there's been these little cool games that we've been introduced to that just have either never come out or are still in.
Yeah.
But there'll be dozens of those, right? Lots of opportunity to just see stuff.
That's the beauty of WBC.
Yeah.
Is that you can see so much of that. And, you know, for how many years were they, you know, having a big demo and a playtest of GTS Utah, right?
Yeah.
I mean, since we have been going.
And that's
like
shipping
5
now.
years.
And that's shipping now.
Yeah, we got charged. I think we got charged for that.
Okay.
They're processing the order, so
all right.
Hopefully we get
but
that this coming week.
That's shipping, but you're right. Tom Holliday and Joe Chacon, who is kind of the GTS, I don't want to call him the godfather, but the guru.
Yeah.
I think Tom is the one designing this one, but I think Joe is involved. But if you remember in 2019?
I mean, it was 19 or 18. They've been playing
We sat down with those guys for 30 minutes. We also got a look at it, and that was 5 years ago.
Yeah.
That's a big game. It's a big game.
But you, in a way, you love to see that a big game like that has taken the time and been worked on. Because, you know, some of those big games, it's like, how in the hell do you playtest this?
Yeah,
it's like, do you playtest it? Can you playtest it?
Sure.
But they've been working on it for so long, and I know they've played a lot of different iterations of it, so I'm excited for that to show up, because I think that'll be our first GTS game.
It will.
So that's exciting.
Well, I think the only other one was the, is Devil Cauldrons GTS?
And
then they have the Sword Gold Juno.
Yeah, so they got Sword Gold Juno, which
came out like 4 years ago, 4 years ago.
I'm just saying, if you see it there.
Okay.
But yeah, they have Devil's Cauldron, and they have...
And that's coming out on reprint, I think, right?
So
if I'm not mistaken.
There's two of them. So there's the Market Garden one.
Okay.
But then they also added Highway... There's two of them.
Got it. Okay.
The one that they're redoing is basically the first... It's Arnhem and... I don't remember, but there's one with the Americans in it that is a separate box that they're not redoing, apparently.
Got it.
So I don't exactly know the breakup.
Something Market Garden.
Yes.
Just we don't know which.
Yeah.
I don't remember which bridge.
But yeah, we have that on order as well.
But I brought that up because it is cool. That's the kind of people you're going to be able to see, chat with, and they're very friendly. I mean, Tom Holliday was just salt of the earth. Joe Chacon, salt of the earth. In fact, I don't know that we've ever met anybody out there that just hasn't been really cool, accommodating with their time and effort. I mean, even the Herminator, right? Sitting down with us and playing Gettysburg and Versailles and Fall of Saigon. Did we ever play anything else with him?
I played Pericles with him last year, I think.
Okay.
I think he was in that game.
Did he embarrass you? Because
Maybe he wasn't in that game.
I'm really nervous about that.
I feel like I played a game with him and I embarrassed myself by being very bad at it. I feel like he was in that game.
Okay.
I could have been making that up, though.
Got it.
But yeah.
But anyway, you see all those kinds of people, and then there's just open gaming where you can walk up, play with anybody. I mean, and you can take big games, take 4 and 5 and 6 player multiplayer games, right?
And that's the kind of con where, because we drive, the car is filled
Loaded
with
up.
games. Like, we'll take, massive bags full of games.
And I'll probably take 6 or 8 games. Probably not as many as I normally do, but...
Yeah, we normally take like 15.
I do want to borrow your rolling little
absolutely.
cases so I can put all my games in there.
But yeah, that's the great thing about WBC. If you've never been, it's well worth checking out, that's for sure.
But I'll be there alone. It'll just be me from Wednesday, and I'll leave Sunday morning. Yeah. So, but looking forward to it. This time, I hope I don't get sick.
Yeah, we all hope that. But yeah, that's
bad.
Someone was asking, so I was like, well, we'll just let them know what the kinds of things that you can do and can expect. And because on top of that, there's a trillion different events and all this kind of stuff.
Well, and a lot of people go because they are playing in those tournaments. That's not us. We would get destroyed, and there's no reason for me to play in those.
Yeah, we're
But-
here to like, partly to work, right? To go and like meet people and do interviews and
Talk about new stuff.
and get some of that stuff so that you guys can see that, but also just to like
Play games.
play as many games with as many people as we can.
I mean, I think of some of the big, we've played Pericles, Angola, Fire in the Lake.
You know, Here I Stand, John Company,
dozens of big games that
we
just get played.
Yeah, and even if it's like something piddly, like the Infection at Outpost 51, right?
Oh, it was a blast.
It's just, who cares? It's not a war game.
Yeah.
But sitting around with a bunch of people having a good time. That's really what I like at conventions, for
Yep.
sure.
Yep.
So yeah, anyway, that's that. So let's talk about the games that we played in June.
Okay.
So I think where did we start off? Gosh.
Oh, I've got them all right here. Sorry.
Oh, is that all of them?
I've got the whole stack.
Okay, perfect.
I think this was our first game of the month.
Yes, that's correct. So we played Beware the Ides of March, The Liberators' Civil War from Hollenspiel.
Oh, that box is upside down.
Oh, yeah, it is. Let me fix that. So this is a 2-player hex and counter Roman Civil War game. It's played at this massive, like, grand strategic level, basically. There's a full review of this coming out at some point. This was an interesting game, but it wasn't my favorite game.
Well, I think the way the board is set up, it's huge, right? It's the entire
Yeah.
Mediterranean from Hispania over to Palestine, and you literally play in the center, right? And yeah, you've got these little pieces all over the board. And I remember when we were setting it up, I was like, ooh, this is going to be really cool. This is
Yeah.
going to be interesting how we can work over here. And I'm like, why would I ever go over there?
Also, it takes so long to get over there.
And the movement on the ocean, the Mediterranean, is so difficult.
Yeah.
You move more than 2 or 3 hexes, you're going to have to roll a die. And it's similar. It felt very similar to the Hannibal and Hamilcar amphibious invasion, where you had to get a card, you had to roll well, and the same here. I kept rolling poorly so I wouldn't make it across. And I liked the combat. The combat was pretty interesting and unique.
That's what the game's about.
And you kind of come together in like Macedonia area,
Typically, yeah.
southern Greece, and you battle it out, 5 or 6, maybe 7 battles, and then
One of you will have won.
yeah, and it's the rest of it was like you started pulling away and I came after you, and then it's about trying to get your ships together. I think overall I liked what we were doing in it, but I think in the framework of the game I thought this is a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
Or a deception about what the game really is based on how huge the map was. You literally could have made a map of just Greece. With the Italian peninsula coming
if you
down,
said just Italy and Greece,
it would have been fine.
and you stripped out everything else,
Yeah.
the game really wouldn't change.
nope.
It's an interesting one. So it uses the Antony and Cleopatra system, I believe, or it's based
Well, same
around
designer, and
that.
I think it's the same
I think it's
style.
similar, which we haven't played, so I'm curious to go back and see that and see if that's different.
Not a game that I didn't love it. I did enjoy parts, but I also didn't hate it or dislike it. I just think it was different than we were expecting.
Yeah. Well, and it was
little
also, I think it was also very easy to see perhaps what it could have been or the heights that it could have gone to, and it just didn't quite get there.
Well, I think one of the most confusing parts about it, and we mentioned this in the review, you've got all these control cylinders. And the control cylinders are a whole hullabaloo about what? Being able to recruit on one better pip on a die roll, basically.
Yeah, but you have to have changed 3 to get to that pip, and to have done that and dedicated to that, you've probably lost because you had to send your guys down here, and then everyone who's left got eviscerated.
Well, and then the other thing, to control an area after you've initially controlled it, you got to leave units.
Yeah, which
And you don't have enough units.
You cannot afford to do.
So I don't know. There were, I felt like it was fool's gold, for lack of a. Like I looked at, it, I was like, ooh, this is a great looking, very cool, strategic. We were playing it, and I'm like, ooh, this is. And then I'm like, the reality of, oh, I didn't think this was going to work.
What you focus on and what's important is this big.
Yeah, and
It's,
the game.
it's cool.
Yeah, so
But the rest of it was.
once again, not a game I hated, but probably not a game. I think there's a lot of things that could have been done with it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
So next up, I think we did Normandy 44.
yeah,
So Normandy 44, we played this on June 6th on the 80th anniversary of D-Day. How about that? It's kind of crazy to think about that.
It is
that long ago.
Yeah.
Like I remember them doing like the 60th anniversary. So Normandy 44, a classic Simonich game. This is part of the 40X series. Again, another 2-player operational game in this instance. And this is the kind of the actual D-Day landings are a pre-turn few die rolls.
Yeah.
This is really like the Battle of Normandy.
Yep.
You are trying to establish your beachhead, get them all linked up, and then break out. It's extremely good. This was part of our Shelf of Shame dust-off event that we're doing this year.
Another check that we checked off.
So, because we wanted this year, we were like, well, let's play some of these kind of classic games, we'll call them, or games we really want to play that just
have evaded us.
Yeah, we haven't had the time to be able to squeeze them into the schedule. So we were like, we're doing one a month. That's what and we're baking it into the beginning of the year. So far this year, we have done Ardennes 44.
Yep.
We did Baptism by Fire. We did another one. We did Brazen Chariots. We did Normandy 44. And we missed 1 month. That's 5 out of 6.
And that was the MMP game that we missed.
Yes, it was a victory lost or a victory
Yeah.
denied, I think. I think that's all. I'm going to 5 out. We done 5
In
out
March,
of 6.
Dien Bien Phu.
Oh, Dien Bien Phu. Oh, yeah.
Great game, great game.
That was also really good, yeah.
Yeah, so the only one we missed was April, a victory loss. And I think we didn't end up playing much at all that month.
Yeah.
But
So
July,
that's pretty good.
yeah, I mean, 5 out of 6 is pretty dang good.
Yeah. Did I say another one? Maybe I just can't count. Yeah, I think, and so far the ones that we played, they've all been bangers. So
Yep.
I'm very happy with how that's progressing, and I hope that continues to be so. But Normandy 44, again, a review of this is scheduled. I don't think it's.
It is.
out
It's
yet.
scheduled. Yeah.
So I'm very excited
Yeah.
to have played this, and this is one of those games. It's one map. You can really like set it up and play it over the course of like one long day.
Yep.
Or two, and so it's one of those games that's meaty but not overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
So I think it was very, very good.
And we played the 3rd printing. I think the 4th printing is getting ready to ship from GMT. So
you
if
won't
you
be
don't have
disappointed,
it,
that's for sure.
go ahead and jump on that now. Then we played Rebel Fury first.
Sure.
I think.
So Rebel Fury, again, this is a 2-player. This is a
There's nothing in there.
It's all set up over there. So this is I'm going to call it a tactical game.
Yeah.
I think that's the units are much bigger than tactical,
Isn't
but
it grand tactical kind of, because it is.
I don't. Yes, I don't know.
I'm not a
what that
great
fancy term means.
definitioner,
But
so.
yeah, this is a game where there's no. It's one of those short war games. I think the shortest one's playing half an hour. The longest one's probably playing about 2.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 for those really long ones.
Well, the ones that are like 10 plus,
yeah,
I
maybe
think
you're
you're going to.
But you're going to play
2 to
these
3 hours.
in a sitting. The rules are not complicated. This is based on Mark Herman's Gettysburg system, which was then kind of added to in Waterloo, both of which came out in C3Is, and then he's kind of developed it, changed the combat system, made it a bit beefier, and this is 6 games in one box.
Extreme value.
Yes.
We're going to talk about that a little bit today.
And the games are just fun. They're just fun to play.
And they're, American Civil War, but it's American Civil War that is focused on, I think, 2 concepts. Maneuver, and then command and control, and what setting. I'm trying to think of a word. The command, like the battle rate, the battle formation, or the marching formation. Trying to think of what that's called. Stance?
Yeah, we'll call it that.
But that's what a lot of the game is about, is trying to understand how to use that to your advantage, encountering the zones of influence and the zones of control to move into position and get your cohesion together and some support and use artillery wisely, which you don't have a ton of. Just a great game. We played 2 of the scenarios now.
It's a really good box. There's the stuff that we played 2 different scenarios, and they were wildly different.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of variety within the box of what it is that you're doing, but it just doesn't forget to be a game. It doesn't forget to be fun. This would be, if you've not played any American Civil War games, you could do much worse.
Great
than
starting
point.
point.
Or if you want an ACW game that you can kind of, because a lot of them are quite long, that you can squeeze into a single session, this is also a great place to start. As well.
I enjoyed this system immensely. I enjoyed it when we played Gettysburg so many years ago.
Yeah.
But it has been evolved. It's added some things to it. It works.
And I like all the evolutions.
Oh, I do too. I didn't know that I liked the combat the first time we played, but the second time I started to get it more, and I'm like, oh yeah, I do enjoy it.
I like the extra allowance of nuance within the results. It's not a ton, but it's much more than it used to be.
Well, you go from a 6-sider to a 10-sider, and that difference of results is huge.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a matrix, right?
Yeah.
So
whereas it was just opposed rolls before,
Yeah.
now it's those opposed rolls on a matrix, depending on how many units you've got, gives you results that then go into a separate matrix.
and then you compare them, and you might have had
that's neat.
a really great essay. Can't remember what that's.
I don't even
significant
know what
something.
I don't know what they stand
And then
for.
like a D, you totally douched it up. I can't remember what D is.
That's definitely what it stands for.
But then you take a number of. You don't really even take step losses. It's retreats,
or you're
eliminated
blown.
or blown, and it's just. I don't know. Really a great system.
Yeah, it keeps it simple. There's like almost zero stacking. You'll have like anywhere from 10 to 20 units on the board each, and it's eminently playable. It's a really good box. We have a full review of this
And a playthrough.
We shot a playthrough of the Fredericksburg scenario. I think
so
it
we
was.
played Chickamauga first, which was like 6 turns, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that. And then we did Fredericksburg, which was just 3, and it's kind of the introductory, and I think it's recommended as solo. Only because the CSA kind of is holding the high ground. Remember Obi-Wan Kenobi said, don't attack me. And
the Union just have to charge like
across a creek, and
it goes very badly.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to play more. I would love to play this maybe at WBC. And then I didn't mention this, but Mark is bringing his Army of the Potomac, the follow-up to this, and we're going to play that.
That's exciting.
He offered to show me that, so I'm very much looking forward to that. But great game, really much. That one is already in my top. It's got to be in my top 10, unless we play something.
No, that's
that
a contender for top 10 for sure.
Very good. And then the other one we played was A Jest of Robin Hood.
A Jest of Robin Hood.
Why don't we call it? You call it Jest, I'll call it Guest, and we'll see. Anyway, how many hate mails we get.
So this is volume 2 of the Irregular Conflict series. We have a ghost from GMT Games. So this is a 2-player coin-style, coin-esque game, but it is not a coin game. It's part of this Irregular Conflict series because they make a lot of changes to it. If you've played the British way, it uses very familiar rules from that. But it's this 2-player game. One of you plays the Sheriff of Nottingham and his cronies, and one of you plays the Merry Men and Robin Hood.
I'm offended by that.
Sorry.
They are henchmen. That's their appropriate name, not cronies. You hater. Every guy needs a good henchman or two.
I mean, really,
to do their bidding.
They're just public servants. That's all.
Government workers.
Yes. But this is, Robin Hood and the Merry Men trying to go around and incite
rebellion,
unrest, and to rob the money carriages and get money and get.
The carriage part of that game is really interesting. It's really unique, really fun.
It's very Robin Hood.
And it feels like a game. That part really, truly feels like a game. Because every turn, you're moving it based on the cards, and then you're trying to rob it, and I'm trying to protect it. But I'm also trying to deke you and put one of those trap, things in there.
But then it's like, I put all the trap ones out. But if you put those special order ones out where you get double order, it's like,
And those are hard not to put out.
Yeah.
And now that I've realized after 2 plays that I can move henchmen, or at least one henchman.
Your little bodyguard with him.
I need to think about that. I think that would change my strategy a little bit with the sheriff. But that's cool, right? You're trying to protect yourself. But I also enjoy that Robin Hood can decide, you know what? I'm just going to decide to beat up these poor travelers.
Yeah, from the little traveler's deck, you're like, I'm just going to rob that guy. I
thought you were supposed to be some kind of hero.
Well, yeah, if you only stick him up a little bit.
Okay.
I like that you have options
if you
within
do
that
a
as
little
well.
bit, but if you really take their stuff, then they're going to get upset and go into the victims deck. Lots to like here, and it's utterly a beautiful production.
Yeah.
One of the best looking games that I've seen from GMT.
Once again, GMT have knocked it out of the park with
Yeah,
this.
no
They had
doubt.
a lot. I think there's 3 different artists that contributed to this. It looks stunning. The rules are clear. It was really easy to learn and play.
I love that the cards are tarot-sized cards too. It's really nice.
It's a wonderful game.
Yeah, the board's beautiful.
We have again a full review of this, and we also shot a playthrough of us playing this.
Oh, I had a blast.
So
you dominated me in that one. Holy mackerel!
I think it was tight that first round.
Well, the first
and then,
turn, and then
it
just
kinda
got out of
escalated.
hand.
But it was really, really good. I really like this game, and so there's a lot more coming on the channel from this. That's for
and
sure.
the initiative track is just so very good. Borrowed from the British way, which was borrowed from the 2-player Colonial Twilight model, but it's just really good. I mean, it's just really good.
Yeah, it's
I just
it's
wish
very
it had
tidy.
metal coins in it. We discussed that, but I feel like metal coins would have made it even. It would have been a chef's
If
kiss.
GMT want to print money.
Print money, literally.
So I think is that. So you played a couple.
Oh yeah,
solo
I
games?
did get
I
a
don't think I
couple
did
solo.
anything solo this
Well, I feel like I was very lazy this month. I'm just going to be honest, but I played Manila, the Savage Streets, which is the follow-up to Stalingrad, Advanced to the Volga. Solo game from Revolution Games, really good game. Love the art and the package. I shot a full playthrough. Not a full playthrough. I think it was 3 or 4 turns.
Sure.
Because I had shown everything that I needed to show, and the game plays in about 90 minutes, but I did it in an hour and I was done. Great game, loved it, very much enjoyed it. And then I also started playing, and I don't know what I think yet. I don't have much comment on this. This is Pirates, and I actually call it Pirates because it's spelled differently.
Pirates.
It's Pirates. This is White Dog Games, designed by Dave Kershaw, and it is a 1 to 5 player pirate game. Not a whole lot of depth to it. It's simple, but it's fun and interesting. Lots of combat, lots of stealing from each other and pirating. It's just kind of unique. But I played it solo, and I got through about 3/4 of a game, and then my wife had stuff for me to do. But
When you do it solo, is it just you bopping around doing stuff, or are there dummy players?
there are 4 other pirates that you're going against, and they're controlled by an AI. They have like little priorities. And you actually can work together to like pirate areas, because if they're really protected by guns or a ship, you can go in and you got to be a pirate, but you can go in there and work with them. I'm not a pirate, I'm a privateer. Is there much of a difference, to be honest? Just sanctioned by one country or another. I think I'm a Spanish, maybe I'm French. I'm a French privateer, but it's interesting. I just need to play it, and I think our group would like that. I think like John and Brum would like this.
Yeah.
It would be a fun 4-player game, but that's Pirates or Pirates or Pirates.
I think the only other major thing that I got going on was, that's upside down, is the continuing play-by-post game of Machiavelli. It's very, very interesting, everything that's going on. It's just this swirling mess. Unfortunately, I didn't get my orders submitted on time one of the weeks, and so all of my units just kind of like sat where they were.
Oh no!
And I got ganged up in a couple of areas,
Oh
and
no!
so I was away on work. It was sad, but it's really, really fun. It's very interesting.
You're playing that play by email kind of.
Yeah, so everyone kind of does
week.
negotiations through DMs and stuff, and then submits on a Google Doc, and then we've got a referee who kind of does it all.
That is an ugly cover, I'm just going to say.
Oh, it's hideous.
I mean,
it's one of the worst covers you've ever seen. But it's an enjoyable experience, that's for sure. I'm having a good time with it.
That is the modern day variant of clip art. Just grabbing a clip art off the internet.
Yeah, it's garish.
I've heard a lot of good things about that game, though.
It is, yeah. People like it's that diplomacy style, but it's a bit more. They like
military-like.
I think that's the same, but there's a bit more economy in it.
Oh, okay.
So where you can like get stuff because you've got all the intrigue of that era, and you can like bribe armies away.
Okay.
And, like, so
that's cool.
And like buy them over to your side, but you can counter bribe.
Okay.
You have to like, I'm going to counter bribe this army. so that they don't get bribed, but you have no idea if they're going to get bribed or not. So it's a lot of guessing and trying to hedge your bets.
And it's hidden order writing, right?
Yeah. It's very cool. It's very interesting. It's very easy to make mistakes, though.
Got it. Well, any of those hidden order games are like that. You write the wrong number or quadrant and you're just hosed.
But that's like the joy of it.
Yeah, it is.
So we've had a bit of leeway the first few turns, and now it's kind of like, all right, you should know better.
Yeah,
if you mess up the orders,
it's your
sorry. That's the game.
Yeah. We also did a ton on Rally the Troops.
Yep, as always.
I think I'm in 3 or 4 Time of Crisis, 3 or 4 Votes for Women, a couple of Wilderness War. I've kind of gotten back into that recently. I'm getting dominated right now by the British, but I did really well, I thought, played a smallpox card. What's that card?
Yeah, smallpox.
Played that card, and then I disbanded one of his generals, Shirley. I think I sent him home. And then I moved some dudes up because I played the bring on 3-3-4 French regulars. And I'm like, now he's like sweating and he's not going to move. And then I moved a small force over against one of the Ohio Forks. Fun game.
That's the beauty as that game is. It is incredibly imbalanced.
Well, and I'm raiding the crap out of the frontier. I keep failing, and that's okay. But I've gotten a couple VPs out of it.
But it's because you can build a death stack as the French, but that's it.
Yeah.
Whereas if the British get all their nice cards, they can have 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And so you have to it's a lot of and trying to do other stuff.
Well, and it was interesting. One of my games, the guy abandoned
abandoned Halifax.
Yeah, he left one guy and a leader there, but everything else came over, and he's got 2 death stacks. And
you're like, oh, I can't do anything against that.
Well, I've got 1 death stack, but then I've got 1 smaller army, and then a whole bunch of just crappy picket dudes, you know, in stockades. But enjoying that.
I'm in 1 game of Friedrich right now.
I still haven't played that.
It's a learning game. We're all kind of figuring it out. I think we've progressed. I can't remember how far into the game we are, but I'm playing as Russia, and I was doing just horrendously. I could not draw the right cards. I was getting all my guys killed.
Sounds usual.
Yes.
For Russia.
But finally now I've got something of a reprieve. And so I've been able to kind of make good progress up north, fighting against the Prussians, and I also control the minor Sweden, who's got 1 little army, and so I'm like, he's able to venture out, and he's got to capture some things that he's doing, but there's these massive Prussian stacks in the south fighting against Austria and the French and the Poles, so it could turn very, very quickly. So it's very interesting, it's very enjoyable. I'm having a good time with it, but it's one of those games where there's 4 suits, and when you do a combat, it's in a quadrant of that suit.
Okay.
And I was getting into combats where I didn't have enough cards, and the Prussians would just out-card me, and every time, I thought I had a couple of good cards, a 10 or an 11, and it was I'd play those, and then they'd just have a 3rd card, and it was and just everyone died. It was really bad.
It's interesting. I have both that and Maria from Histo Game on my shelf, ready to go. We've just never gotten around. Yeah. We've carried them around a couple of times, just never gotten.
But then putting that on there, I'm like, sweet, I can learn it, play it a couple of times, so that we can actually I'll be much more comfortable teaching that at a con now.
I also want to point out, it's been pretty fun. We've had some very interesting Time of Crisis games.
Oh, yes.
2 games literally in the same week, where you and I were at the very top.
There was a game where we were a point apart.
Yeah.
That was cool. That game where you won at the end,
I don't know.
I have no idea how you did that.
Well, I fought 3 battles.
Okay, that's a lot.
And I crushed everybody, and I had a triumph.
Oh, you had a triumph.
So I think I fought you once, kicked you out, became emperor.
I was gone by the end of the game.
Then I had a force march where I moved, and then I had another force march where that guy could then bash a bunch of. I think I did a 3 or 4 stack barbarian. I crushed him, and I played triumph.
Okay, that's how.
And then I got the 10 because I had 1 more emperor than you.
No, I had 10 in there.
Oh, did you? And I had 6.
That's why I was so surprised, because I was like, I've got the 10.
I learned a code over the weekend, and I entered a code.
I had thought I had done enough.
I have no idea how I did it, but I did do 3
I ended up
battles.
losing by 4 points.
Yeah,
which
it was
is not
crazy.
insignificant. I was like, oh damn.
Well, then I think the other one, it was 1 or 2 points.
Yeah, the other one was a 1 pointer.
Yeah.
This one ended up being like a 4 or 6 pointer, but I was like, I don't know how that happened.
And then I actually scored 100 points in a game. I think one of the guys fell asleep.
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
And you know how I did it? I felt bad because I picked on the blue guy and I kept just crushing him. And I just kept crushing him. He had nothing. He scored like 18 points. I felt so bad. At the end, I sent a message and I'm like, hey, dude, I'm so sorry. And he goes, hey, it's just the way the game is.
That game, sometimes you just spiral.
But I was the emperor and had 6 territories. And they all had good armies on them. There was nobody getting them off of me. I don't know how I got the cards that way, but anyway, great times, great times.
Yeah, I'm having a good time on there at the moment. I'm playing a lot of Plantagenet at the moment. That is a game I am very bad at, but I'm enjoying it. But there's so many administrative counters in that game. It'd be kind of a nightmare to play on the tabletop, honestly.
Got it.
Like I'm looking at the board, and then I go on BGG and look at what it looks like set up, and I'm like,
kind of a mess.
yeah, because there's lots of spaces, and every space will end up with at least 1 or 2 counters on it typically, because it has a control marker, and then it'll have like these depleted markers or exhausted markers. Yep. And then you might also have like a marker for someone who, like a lord who can get levied there, and then you might also like it's just
cluttered.
And it can be, yeah. So I'm glad I'm playing it on there because it's very clean.
Still haven't played it.
Yeah, I don't think I've won a single game of it yet. I think I've played like a couple of really small learning scenarios and a couple big ones, and it's like I just get walloped. It's fun though, but
yeah,
I think is it one of my favorites of that system? I really liked Inferno. No, Almoravid. That one was really good. This one is similar in that there's a good direction to it. Whereas, like, you feel a little bit listless in some of the other Livian campaigns of, like, I don't know what I should be doing.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit Washington's War, where you're, like, you move your army on and you do a parlay to turn it over to your side. And then you can optionally, like, do them from range, adjacent, but that costs you influence points, and influence points is victory points as well as the game. Because if you parlay adjacent, it costs you points, and that's on a pendulum, so you're giving away victory points to get these, which you might score later. It is interesting, but...
I need to play it.
Yeah, I think that's...
I am very grateful for Rally the Troops. It's a very good online platform. Yeah, very, very good.
For sure. So that's everything that we did play. I think going forward into July, I think we've got a few games. Again, maybe not as many because we've got some vacation at the end of the month.
Yeah.
I don't want to tip it.
I think it's... these seal pretty good. Okay. I think you can tip it.
So this... Well...
I'm going to store it on its back, but...
Okay, so this is Arcs from Leader Games. This is designed by Cole Worley, I believe.
Yep.
So this is kind of a space civ building kind of.
It's kind of like a 4X, kind of, but you're not doing much exploring.
No, there's not really any of that.
Everything's uncovered.
But it can play up to 4 or maybe 5. I think.
Well, that was one thing.
This was 4-player.
Well, I think the base game is 4, but I swear the expansion...
It says 2 to 4.
Okay, maybe it is just 4.
And you're going to play through anywhere from like 3 to 5 rounds, and you're moving around, building cities on different planets and different sectors, building your ships, fighting each other, trying to gain resources, and you're trying to score. And the scoring is varied, which was a neat part of the game.
Yeah, it's based on... Basically, they're called ambitions, but there can be 3 of those per turn, and they have to be called by players, and then you compete for those different things. And it's things like the most ships and cities destroyed that round, or the most captives taken, or having the most fuel and building material.
Or the most psionic resources.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of variety in those, but you'll only score 3 of the 6, I think. And then when you... Like, whoever chooses that one, the first one is worth more points.
Yeah.
I really like that part of it as well. So if you've got a bunch of this stuff and you're trying to score it...
Get it right now.
The pressure is on to get initiative and to get that as the first one.
Yep.
And then to maintain your lead on that to the end of the round.
But the great part about that, conversely, is the raid mechanic when you're attacking. So you can go in and attack another player and choose to not necessarily... You'll still maybe destroy their ships and their cities, but you can do the raid dice, and you're ultimately going to be able to steal their resources. So you might be able to steal some of their cards, or everything has a cost. That part I really, really, really did enjoy. But we're going to play this, but we've already played it. We played it yesterday.
yesterday.
But I want to play it a couple more times because, one, we didn't get through a full game because of the holiday. And two, I think it took us 2 turns to really understand it. And now I think we understand it. And I want to see how that's going to change it. There's a lot to like.
And there's like a massive campaign in here which unlocks new stuff. I want to see that.
Yeah.
Because the base game is kind of like the base game, right? It's vanilla.
And we kind of talked about it. While it is unique and interesting, I don't know that it creates something so unique and different that...
Yeah, like some of the little bits are really good.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is like pretty standard.
Fairly
fare,
standard
right?
stuff, yeah.
So I'm hoping that campaign really adds a lot of freshness and unique stuff and stuff that's a big draw. But yeah, I enjoyed it, that's for sure. And
it's beautiful.
Look forward to more of it.
Yeah.
That was the big one. I think we're going to... So, I'm going to put this up here. I don't really know anything about this game. This is
a card-driven game.
España 1936 from
Debrief Games.
Debrief Games. And are they out of Spain?
I'm not really sure. I think so.
It looks like it. Because they have
We were
English
given
and
this
Spanish.
as a review copy. This is a 2nd edition. So the game came out like 5 years ago. But it's a card-driven Spanish Civil War game.
Yeah,
and it does look very cool.
But yeah, I don't really know a whole lot about this. It looks cool. I hope the rules are good.
Well, we'll have to see.
Because if it's a 2nd edition and get a good English translation in there. But based on the back of the box, it looks like it's one of those games where it's kind of one of those Twilight Struggle CDGs where you've got adjacency and you've got different stacks of units, and then you'll get to a point where you take full control over that, it looks like. So I'm interested to see what this looks like.
It says here, 3 hours.
3 hours.
So it's a big, long playing game.
Yeah.
But it is beautiful. So we're going to try to get that one played.
Try to do that one. Shelf of Shame dust-off for the month is going to be Day of Days. So we did Normandy 44 last month for June.
And we were supposed to do this in June, but we decided to do Normandy 44.
But so this one, we just flip-flop those two. This will be the July one. We will probably not play all of the 5 mappers or whatever's in here. We'll get one of the scenarios and kind of give that a go. I think
Standard combat series.
Airdrops ones, right?
Well, yeah, that's one that I want to do.
Because I think
airborne troops are always fun.
Yeah. So I'm very interested in this. Yeah, Standard Combat Series, SCS from Multiman Publishing.
4 22 by 34 maps. They are huge, by the way. It was 8 counter sheets. This took me a long time to clip, but it is all clipped and organized.
But SCS is a really accessible and pretty simple
playable system.
Hex and counter system. This would be one of those games where if you did set it up at a convention, you could play it with probably 4 people and just like do it team style. I'm sure there might be rules for that. I don't know.
Yeah,
but I think that would be neat. There probably is on BGG a good way to carve it all up. But it's a really playable system. This is one of the biggest in the SCS series. Like, it is 8 counter sheets.
Yeah.
It's massive, and you'll end up with some pretty hefty stacks all clustered together on the beaches, as you might imagine.
Yep.
But I'm looking forward to this because, gosh, when did you buy this? Like 2018?
So I think we bought this like in 16 or 17. Just shortly after we kind of got into all this, I saw it on, I think, BGG, and it was well priced, and unfortunately it sat on my shelf for the past 7 years.
That's what this event is for. We will get that to go. Yeah. Then we also are going to do Invasion Malta. It's funny, I think I have.
From Legion
This
Wargames.
is the unclipped copy. I have a clipped copy of it over there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, they sent us 2.
Oh, okay.
So I clipped one.
Got it, nice.
So Invasion Malta from Legion Wargames. This is kind of that what would happen if they actually had boots on the ground. So it's one of those hypothetical ones.
Well, I think there's a scenario that you can do that, but I do think the rest of it is historical. But I could be wrong about that.
Well, they didn't.
Because I did read something about this.
Malta.
Well, but I'm talking about the air war and the... But they
didn't. They didn't launch this.
Okay.
Because...
Well, maybe it is hypothetical then.
But I think it's based on their specific
bonus
plans
game,
too.
Battle of Leeds.
The Battle of Leros?
Leros, I can't read. I don't have my glasses on.
Yeah, there's 2 different... But I'm almost 100% positive this is based on what they were actually going to do.
Got it. It just never happened.
But they didn't end up doing it because they couldn't win the air naval war.
Yeah, Vance von Voorhees.
Which we've played a number of his games.
And this has been in design and development, I think, for like 400 years, if I'm not mistaken.
So I'm excited for it.
Nice looking package, too.
The maps look great.
Yeah,
it's a really nice looking game. I've got it all punch clipped and ready to go. So
we'll definitely give that one a shot. Rules. We have a stack of games over here that's going to kill us.
And we also have Striking Flint, which is not a war game, from Hollandspiel. This is a cooperative game, I think?
It is a cooperative game. I think you can play it solo as well, but if you're cooperative, you're just one of the different groups working together, but then scoring points, I think. I'm not real sure.
Yeah, and this is 1937 kind of
UAW
sit-ins in the motor factories in Michigan, right?
Yep.
So a historical game, but not a war game, but John Dubois, he designed...
Heading Forward.
Heading Forward. So that was a neat game. Mechanically, it was interesting. So I'm curious to see this in a multiplayer game because that was solo only.
And here's its board. It's literally cards. So it doesn't have a traditional board. There is like a track. But the cards are board.
They got that neat art style going on.
Yeah, and it's got dice.
So yeah, that's cool. So I think Solitaire, if I play a game, it will be Atlantic Sentinels. I just kind of got this punched and clipped and have halfway read the rules. I think this is available and I can talk about it.
It is. We've actually had this for a while. Greg gave it to us and told us not to do anything with it until it was released.
It's one of those games that it uses his kind of chart flipping narrative style, but this one you are kind of corvette and destroyer escorts for Atlantic convoys going across the Atlantic in 42 and 43. So it's a single sheet of pre-rounded counters. I'm pretty sure it's pre-rounded. Maybe it wasn't, and I clipped them. No, I think I clipped them. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's one of those types of games
from Compass.
Yeah, and the production value for that is
beautiful
pretty nice as well. I think that's everything that I'm gonna play.
Yep, I think that's everything I'm gonna play too.
July. I don't think yeah. So I'll go to the UK at the end of the month and play not war games.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's everything that we've got going on there.
How long are you gone, by the way? It's like 8 days?
It's closer to 10.
Okay.
Yeah, got it. About 10 days.
And it's kind of the same time that I'm at WBC.
Yeah,
and you're not going to be back for Gen Con.
Yeah, we leave at the same time pretty much.
Got it.
I'm leaving on the Thursday.
Okay.
And then, I'm not back for another week.
So I'll be going to Gen Con in August just with my son. We're just going to go for one day.
So, I didn't mention it earlier, but this particular video is sponsored by Noble Knight Games. So we're very grateful for their sponsorship, and we will have a little bit of a video from them later on. But real quick, we did just have a delivery from them. Well, we bought games from them.
Yeah.
So, I don't know anything about this. What is this?
Well, this is Caucasus Campaign by Mark Simonich. So this is just kind of one of his cool war games that I've wanted for a long time. And saw it for a decent price. I think we paid, was it $85 for it? And it's in pretty good shape.
I don't remember. But this is not part of the 40X series. It's just a war game.
Yep.
But it looks very similar. So
it does, sure it has I mean, that looks like a Simonich map.
And all the units look the same.
Yep.
There might be some similarities.
Yeah.
I feel like design is.
But I think I've now got all of the Simonich games that I truly want. I mean, we've got all the big ones.
That I truly want.
Well, there's other ones.
What about the untruly ones?
Well, there are other ones that would be good to have. But Bill Simone might be mad at me because I know he's trying to get a hold of this as well.
Well, and then we got some factional dice.
Israeli dice.
I've fully finished clipping Valley of Tears, and
BCS.
Yes.
Is that from last year?
Yes.
2023.
Yeah, it just came out last year. So I got these to go with that. I was looking for some different Arab ones, and I can't find any. I know because they used to exist from Battlefront's Fate of the Nations system.
Okay.
But they just totally sold out every kind you get on a second-hand market. I'm like, ugh. Because in that case, then I need more dice.
But Noble Knight's good.
Yes. More from them later on. So let's talk about what we've got going on Kickstarter.
On Kickstarter, I got a list here. There's a bunch. Let me put my glasses on. All right. You could be doing some dancing while I'm trying to. Please don't. All right, Kickstarters. There are 6 that I can mention. Battle Commander Volume 1, Napoleon's Italian Campaigns from Sound of Drums. That one's starting, I think, July 20th. and it is a Carl Paradis design.
Nice.
This is the first volume in a new planned series of games, uses blocks. I have an interview coming out on the blog, I think, in a week. Imperial Borders, the Congress of Vienna from Nightingale Games.
Nice.
Huge Larry Harris style Axis and Allies
I'm very excited
game.
for it.
And it is also somewhat of a non-historical. It's kind of assuming some different things happen at the Congress of Vienna and the war continues, right? Continues on.
Okay.
So I don't know everything about it. I did back it because it looks amazing.
Yeah, I just want to
Very much excited.
It looks awesome. Like, it looks really fun.
Aces and Armor from PKB Games. That is a very cool miniatures, tactical hex encounter game where your units actually gain experience and they also track damage across the campaign. Looks very interesting. Guadalcanal, The Battle for Henderson Field from Dan Versen Games. This is Valiant Defense Series number 5. Vincent Cooper is the designer, so this is the first non-David Thompson design. It comes to Kickstarter, I want to say July 31st.
So very end of the month.
Very end of the month, but I have a interview I'm working on with Vincent.
Do we know if on that one, did they keep Niels Johansson on
Yes,
for the artwork?
it's gorgeous.
So it looks amazing. Okay,
Yeah,
good.
it's a lot of it is knight, so the board is a knight-based board.
I remember seeing that.
It looks incredible. Band of Brothers, Stalin's Favorites. This is a new addition to the Band of Brothers series. This one's designed by Jim Crone. Deals specifically with the latter part of 42 as the Soviets are kind of striking back
And so this will be a standalone box in that
Band
of Brothers series.
Yep. Very similar to the one last year that was a Pacific.
Yeah, they had the old breed.
Yep.
And I think they had Ghost Panzer and the original Band of Brothers.
But that starts on July the 8th. I'm working on an interview with him. And then another very interesting one that started a couple of weeks ago and is a solitaire war game, but also some art, books, and different things. It is called Bloody Omaha D-Day Amphibious Assault. That's the name of the game from Lombardi Studios. Dana Lombardi, we all know him from Streets of Stalingrad. Beautiful art. This is a solo game. It's a very unique solo game that can be played solo as the Americans going against the Germans. You can also play it two-player, but it's not Americans versus defending Germans at D-Day. It's two different corps of armies on the same beach going,
Right.
and you're competing.
It's a race game.
Kind of unique. Looks great. I have an interview coming up with Dana on that as well. But those are the 6 Kickstarters that I'm aware of. There may be more, but those are the ones that I know of.
And I think on the Kickstarter front for us, we have, in theory, soon, we'll have SAS Rogue Squadron
Okay.
and D-Day Dice coming.
Oh, okay, nice.
It's from the same company, so I was cheap.
What's the name of that company? Do you remember?
I should know.
I know it off the top of my head, but I can't, for some reason, recall
I can't remember. If you said it, I'd be like, yep, that's it. I can't remember. But I have combined shipping, so I know people already have D-Day Dice. Plus, it's a reprint anyway. But we've got those two coming. They said that all that stuff should be kind of at the hubs middle to end of July.
Okay.
So then we should get it a week or two after that, hopefully.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
I'm looking forward, especially to that Rogue Squadron one.
Well, that one's kind of, isn't it North Africa?
No, it's Normandy.
It's Normandy.
It looks like it's North Africa.
Okay, why do I? Okay.
No. You would be not mistaken.
I remember like a Jeep on the front of it. It looks like it's desert.
And it looks like it's covered in stuff, and it's very kind of like light tan
Okay,
stuff.
so
But no, it is fully not North Africa.
Normandy, okay.
It looks like it should be, though.
Yeah.
Because I used to think that, too. And I was
Okay.
like, I saw the maps and was like, oh, this is like...
Word
super
Forge
not
Games is, I believe, the name of that
bad.
company.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, you look
I
like
think
you're
that's-
very convinced. Word Forge Games.
I think that's it.
I believe.
But yeah, I think we got that coming on Kickstarter as well.
Okay.
Hopefully delivered very soon, which looking forward to that too.
I need more games like I need a freaking hole in the head.
Yes. Yeah, right.
And I actually need a hole in the head.
Oh yeah, and we did the crowdfunding for that War for Arrakis game.
Oh yeah, but that'll be a year.
Yeah, that'll a year and a half probably.
Yeah.
But that's coming. So that's everything on Kickstarter. Let's have an official word from our sponsor, Noble Knight Games. And so I'm very grateful for Noble Knight's sponsorship. Again, if you've not been onto their website and used their kind of platform to buy and sell games, what are you doing? Go and do that.
I also think the best part about that platform is you can literally say, hey, I'm interested in this game, even though it might be out of stock. And when it comes back in stock, they will email you.
And those emails are as soon as it's in the system.
Yeah.
Like, I've used that feature a number of times, and
it's just nice.
I've never missed out on something I got a notification for. That's how quick it is.
Yeah.
So
because they get shipments all the time, right? People bring games in, trade games in, sell them games. They run them through the system, put them into the shelves and on the system, and then you're going to get an email saying, hey,
like
that Borodino game is here.
As soon as they beep it into the system,
Yeah.
you can go get it. Yeah. So just that's a great feature for them as well. I agree. So on to our kind of topic for today's debrief. And I can't remember who suggested the topic because my phone won't load it and it's blank. I'm very sorry. If you wish to be able to submit topics, that is available to our $5 level patrons. I make a post every month on our Patreon account, and people kind of can submit those in the comments, and we usually pick from one of those. So,
by the way, we just got, I think, two new patrons like this week.
Okay.
I don't know if you saw the emails.
I did not, so I will.
They'll need to be activated.
I'll get in on that.
Yeah.
So that's the topic today is.
And don't let me forget this. Also, we need to give an update, even if it's no update, on those Here I Stand dice.
There is no update.
Okay. Well, that's the update. There's no update. We're still working on it.
I'm extremely busy at the moment.
Because I think we've got, my last count was like 16 people.
Okay.
Because we've gotten 2 or 3 since last month where we mentioned it again.
Okay.
So just real quickly, we're looking at getting custom dice printed with the logos of each of the nations in their colors. But we got to do some work, right? We've got to do some images, and
I got to make it.
and they're probably going to be somewhere between $10 to $20 a set.
It depends, and it totally depends on how many people.
Right.
Right.
But you're probably talking anywhere between $60 and $80 to $100, depending on how many orders we get. So if you're interested, continue to email us. Just understand we are still working on it.
Yeah.
Well, Alexander's still working on it.
So, yeah, that's... Oh, and someone also asked what the next thing for the book club is, and whilst it will technically be Master and Commander, I have not set a date for that yet, because I'm also just really busy, and I haven't finished what I'm reading currently. So that's in the future. I'll let you know when that happens. So, the topic for today is... It was kind of like... What are some war games that give you like bang for your buck? What a good
value,
like really like if you have a very restricted budget, which I know a lot of us do in this day and age, what's a game that's got real legs that can stick around, that isn't just the same game over and over again? Now, there's nothing wrong with that, right?
No.
Like I'll play the same game again and again and again, but imagine a game that might be like a multi-pack or something that has so much variety in it that it's just...
Well,
it's exponentially more.
Yeah, tons of scenarios or different battles. Or, I think there's a couple different types. We have good value price-wise. We have good value price for what you're getting. We also have good value for games that are going to play quick and you can play over and over and over and over again. So we've kind of looked at 3 different buckets.
Types of values as well.
And we've got a couple of stacks here, so
let's start with kind of we're going to start with a kind of a classic over here of like what you might expect under this topic. So we're going to start with Commands and Colors Samurai Battles. And we're going to start here because if you had got this on the P500,
like 2 years ago,
I think it was like $80.
Yeah.
It might be a bit more now because there's a lot of wooden pieces in here. And this game includes, I think, 40 scenarios in it.
I want to say it was even more than that, but 40 scenarios. Yep, there you go.
So, Commands and Colors, if you've not played it, it's this 2-player tactical game. Use cards to fuel the guys in different areas. It's not the most intense or serious simulation.
Yeah.
It's just really good fun.
Sometimes you're going to get cards that you're like, oh, I can't do anything.
Yeah.
And that's part of the game, right?
Or sometimes you can do it all.
Yep.
But if you want to play, in that Sengoku Jidai with all the different samurai and, I don't know what they call it anymore, but like all the different weapon types in here, cavalry's in here, 40 different battles in here.
Yeah, crazy.
And I am trying to move myself away from dollars and cents per hour in games. Because I don't think that's a healthy way to look at your hobbies.
Okay.
I understand why people do it, but I don't like sitting there doing that and being like, this game's not worth it because I pay more than $5 an hour per... Like, that's stupid. If you enjoy it, just enjoy it.
Sure.
However, that being said, this is one of the ultimate value games from that standpoint. If you were to play through every single scenario in this, you will have gotten so much value for the money that you spent in this. And again, especially with GMT, their prices are typically like either standard or a little bit lower because they do more volume. And if you can get into the P500s, if you're willing to take that gamble, their pricing is often, frankly, unbeatable in the industry.
Yeah.
They just have the power to do that. That's kind of what it is. You might see a number of their other games in this for that.
Well, and I brought along, to kind of go along this same vein, although it doesn't quite have as many scenarios as Samurai Battles, Command & Colors Ancients, or any of the Command & Colors games.
That's the reality.
You can see we've got Napoleonics back here.
And you don't even have to stick with the GMT ones. Think about like Tricorn, or Jacobite Rising.
Yep.
Even PSC that did that slightly more expensive Red Alert Space Fleet Warfare.
Fantastic.
That one's a bit more expensive because it's got plastic miniatures in it.
Well, and Fantasy Flight has the Fantasy... I can't remember what that one was called. Battle Lore, yeah. Similar system with fantasy, dragons and griffins, but great system that you can play over and over and over and over and over again
with lots of people because they're pretty easy to learn and play.
You can teach anybody.
You can teach anyone, so you're going to be playing this more often than you're going to play something like Day of Days.
Yeah. So this one, Ancients, has 15 battles. So 15 versus 40, that's a big difference.
This has like lots of expansions.
It has at
that
least
you can get into.
2 expansions. I think there's a Roman Civil War one. I can't remember what
there's 3 expansions.
Okay. But these systems are eminently expandable and they're scenario based. So you're going to be able to play different battles, different time periods, different generals, different leaders, and still get a similar experience and know how to play the game and get a great value. I love Napoleonics.
I love Napoleonics too.
That is a great system. Same system. That one seems to be a little more true Wargame style.
I think it's a bit crunchier.
Well, the units are so vastly different. Here the units are what they are. But in those, you're going to get like very unique.
Yeah, a lot of different. And then they're all different again between the different nations, which I really like that part of it too.
I will say this about the Samurai Battles. I really enjoyed that. The honor mechanic was very cool.
Yeah, it's like this additional currency that you could use.
Very good system. That was initially done by... Do you remember? Because it wasn't a GMT game initially.
Oh, that's right.
I'm trying to remember what the name of the company was.
So it was originally...
Zvezda.
Yeah, it was originally put out by a Russian miniatures company.
Yeah.
And they were stunning, delicate little plastic miniatures that you had to cut off sprues and put on stands. I mean, I think that was back in the early 2000s. And you just...
Oh, so ancient.
You can't get that anymore. And so they did blocks. And there's so much 40 scenarios.
So the Command and Color scenario or system has dozens and dozens of scenarios. All different types, all different historical periods. They're really great value. Because you're going to spend $80 or $100 on all this wood.
Yeah, this weighs a ton.
And you're going to play it dozens and dozens of times. So if you don't want to look at that dollar per play or whatever, but it's a great value because I'm going to play different stuff, even though it's the same system.
There's a ton of stuff with those, that's for sure.
And each of the systems has their own unique elements.
Yeah.
That they all do. Elephants, right? In this one. Napoleonics doesn't have elephants. But it has all different types of cavalry. And
Yeah, it's got so much stuff in that one. But this one has the honor in it. I think the Napoleonics, you have different formations you can put your guys in, and that one have each of your countries have different national characteristics and things that special moves they can do, which is really neat too.
Well, and even the concept of throughout the different volumes, the number of dice you roll are based on different factors. I think in the first ones it was like everybody always rolled like 3 dice or something.
I think Memoir 44, it's always the same amount of dice.
Right, but in Napoleonics, as you degrade, you lose dice, and that's why I like that one so much, because it is a little more realistic.
It feels a bit more realistic, yeah.
But yeah, commands and colors, great value. Another one from GMT, and we only have Combat Commander that we grabbed off the shelf, but Combat Commander. And I know there's a lot of people that hate Combat Commander. I get it.
Sure.
It's not for everybody. It is a chaotic, card-assisted game. And sometimes you're just not going to get the cards that you need. And the thing that I love about it, because we've played 15, 20 of these scenarios throughout all the different volumes.
Oh, yeah.
I love it when I'm looking at your face and I can't tell whether you've got a good hand, a bad hand, a crap hand, a okay hand, or you're going to do what you need to do. And I think the same, but you got to play that way. But this system, it started with Europe, then it expanded to the Mediterranean theater, then it went to the Pacific, then they had the Resistance expansion, which I now finally acquired. Haven't done anything with it, but I've got it. And then they've got tons of little battle packs.
Yeah.
So you're going to invest a lot of money into the system if you like it. But in this base game, in the Pacific, and I really like Pacific. A lot of people didn't, but I liked it. It really changes the game quite a bit.
I think a lot of people did like what they did to it.
I want to say there's 12 scenarios in this one. I'm trying to remember. 12 historical scenarios.
Yeah. And I think what I like about, I guess you could almost substitute in a lot of different tactical systems, because I think what's great about picking a system is that invariably a lot of them have lots of expansions to it.
Yeah.
I think about that Assault 41, is that what it's called?
Yeah, Assault 41, then Assault Sicily.
So like that box has a ton of stuff in it. But
Over there on the shelf.
But then you buy the expansion, and it's just, you already know the rules, so you're already invested, right? I think about Conflict of Heroes, right? You buy one, ton of scenarios in it, but then you buy this next volume, similar type of thing.
Lock and Load Tactical, the same thing, right? Same system, different expansions, different. So,
most tactical games I think offer you good value.
Very good value. So you're going to pay $80 to $100, but you're going to get 12 scenarios, plus you can get some battle packs, and all of a sudden you've got 20 to 30 scenarios.
And invariably, if you pre-order them, you're going to get them at better pricing.
Right.
If you look for sales, you'll often find these at discounts if you're willing to wait as well.
I love Combat Commander.
Oh, very, very good system.
I know there are people that do not, but man, I love it. So a lot of those tactical systems, like you said, are going to give you great value.
So let's talk about something kind of on a different side of things. So one of those? No. Here I've got 13 Days. So this is a little small box CDG. This is kind of the opposite end of the value scale, where it's just one little game.
It's like a $30 game, right? $35 game.
I think when we bought it, it was like a $25 game back in 2017.
That was in the before times where things were more affordable.
And so sometimes you'll find historical or war games like this. I think about some of the stuff that comes out from like Nuts Publishing. That Saladin game was really good.
Yeah.
You get these little small format games, and the price points are really good. This is made by a company called Ultra Pro. Yep, the card sleeve guys. They made this little war game. This uses kind of like that Twilight Struggle style system, but it's really condensed. You have 3 small hands on this really small format board. The game is really tight. I really like it. It's Cuban Missile Crisis. I love the theme of it.
Well, and it plays in 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So it plays quickly, and there's enough variability because of the way the cards come out. I played this with my wife. She loved it.
And how many times did you play it?
We played Fort Sumter, which is based on this game, probably 30 times. This one we played about 5 or 6, and she loved it.
Right.
Literally loved it.
How many of our other big war games have we played 5 or 6 times?
If we played,
it's not many.
Yeah, most of them 1 to 2 times is what it is.
These little smaller format games that come at a much more reasonable price are much easier to get played. As such, you're getting better value out of them because you're actually playing.
Yeah. Well, and the rules are very approachable. The concepts are very understandable, and even non-serious wargamers or gamers are going to get this.
Yeah, there's a lot of games that you can do with things like Watergate fits in this little kind of scenario as well.
Well, they made a 13 minutes game, which
The little deck of cards.
yeah, it's the same concept. The same designer also did, I think it was Iron Curtain. There's all kinds, and we did one of those debrief topics on small war games like a year ago.
A lot of those fit into this
Yeah.
in that kind of vein of like, sometimes you just want a less expensive, small format game. That's got its own value.
Well, you pay $30 and you're going to play it 30 times, so because it's easy to get to the table.
Yeah, agreed.
I didn't bring any of those. Another kind of style that I wanted to talk about are some, and you've got a bunch of these as well. If you want to hold that one for me. So these are these, I'm not going to call these print and play, right? Because you're buying a little booklet.
Yeah, they're like book games.
Yeah, book games, solitaire book games. This one is Overflight. Now, we've gone above and beyond. You can just buy the rule book.
Yeah, and you just cut all the stuff out.
You cut everything, you photocopy and you cut it out and play it. We went ahead and dropped the money and bought the printed out components.
It probably stops being value at that
Well,
point.
I think the rule book was like $30 or $25, and then the box was $30. But the concept holds true here. These are $20 to $25, maybe $30 games. I've played Lone Sherman in the Pacific about 15 times. It has a ton of scenarios. I've got Battles of Kursk. You've got, what do you have over there? Mag 21.
Yeah, and I got Tally
Tally
Ho.
Ho.
That's on my desk at work.
You know, different systems, different designers. These are Mike Lambo and these are Thomas Van Hare. But you're going to buy this and they're, single sheet scenarios like that. You can print out the counters like I've done, cut them out. You're going to play through it. Very cool. The rules are right here. Very approachable, very fun, wildly, some days you're going to get destroyed. I mean, it's just the way it is. But I've now discovered these kind of games, and I wish I hadn't in some ways, because for $20, I played this one for probably 15 times. That's amazing, right? And I'm going to play this one. I haven't played it yet.
Yeah.
But the same with Overflight. I just really like these concepts of these book games. Worthington does a bunch of these.
They do a lot of those little solitaire ones.
You've played Bismarck.
I played
Gettysburg?
Bismarck, and I played Gettysburg. I think those are the 2 that I played.
But same concept, right?
Yeah.
You've got a little simple game with 10 to 12 scenarios.
Those are
in
more
it.
like kind of almost chart flippers. They're a bit more set. These ones just like it's a little mini
it's
heck and
tactical.
counter game in there,
Yeah.
which I think that's
Yeah,
a real
it's very
credit
cool.
that they can do that too.
But those are those style of games, and I'm telling you, Mike Lambo has about 20 different titles, and I think Thomas Van Hare now has like 6 different titles, with more being designed.
So I think we're going to
GB.
talk about.
Where'd SPQR
It's
go?
right here.
Okay.
I got them both. We're going to talk about the GBOH.
Great Battles of History.
Yes. So, Great Battles of History, which is a series from GMT Games. Most of these are designed by Richard Berg and Mark Herman together. There is a lot lot and specifically...
You've clipped this one, right?
Yeah, I have
and you've
half of
played
it set up
under
here.
Yeah.
I think I'm specifically calling out these newer deluxe editions. Because I think, do you have the other one, Caesar Rome?
No, I have Cataphract.
No, that's what
is the other one that I have, and it's clipped and ready to go. We've just not got around to playing
But
it.
basically these new... Oh, and I also have the Alexander one. That's the new Alexander, or the newish one, is a big box with lots of stuff in it.
Yeah, right here.
They...
It's right behind you.
No. Basically, these big deluxe newer ones, they have
You've
kind
even
of
got Tyrant there.
brought in more stuff. Because they released SPQR forever ago. They released Julius Caesar forever ago. And then they released like an expansion for it. So there's like the Civil War expansion, there's the Pyrrhic Victory module, there's the, all these other stuff that they release almost one every year in C3I. You'll get like, micro expansions or little deluxe modules and stuff. They bring them all together in these massive packages. And so SPQR has like a billion scenarios.
Yeah.
There's like 3 games in this box almost. Julius Caesar, very, very similar. There's, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of counters in them.
And the system is also, there's 2 different ways to do the system, right? You can do the traditional, the regular one that comes with the games. You can also do the simple battles.
Do I have that kicking around?
Great Battles of History, simple battles,
somewhere,
right?
Maybe.
Which, isn't that the rule set we use for SPQR?
Yeah, that's the one that I use because I like my games to be a bit more kind of accessible and move at a faster pace. So they strip away some of the more complex command hierarchy rules and the different, and like just some of the bits. So the simple GBOH is a little PDF. You could just print it out as free, but you can also get a nice version of it from GMT as well. And that is a bolt-on module that you can use for any of these GBOH titles. And again, with these nice, fresh new ones, the deluxe ones they're doing, they are printing into the playbooks and the scenario books the simple GBOH special rules. That is a huge value because when you bought the simple GBOH from GMT, it had like this massive book and had all the scenarios for all the boxes you didn't have. But in these new ones, it's all right there. You just need to have learnt 4 pages of core rules and you can immediately jump into these scenarios.
So you can play the crunchy normal system, but you can also do the simple system. And we've played, you've played this, we've played this together. It's a very enjoyable system. I think fairly approachable, but also feels like a real war game. And has a lot to like. And once again, great value. You're going to buy an $80 to $90 game and have 25 scenarios at least in these deluxe editions. This one was just recently offered, I think, on second printing. So the deluxe SPQR on second printing.
These are if you like Ancients and you want something that's maybe a bit deeper than something like Commands and Colors, these you could go do a lot worse, that's for sure. These are very, very good, especially these new big ones.
There you go. Let's stay on that theme. Let's do Men of Iron.
Oh yeah. So yes, that's a good call. Did I get Men of Iron off the shelf?
Maybe you
yes,
didn't.
it's right here. I was looking right at it. I was being
Yeah.
So Men of Iron is very similar. So this Men of Iron tri-pack they released a couple years ago was at the time for me one of the most value games.
Oh yeah.
There are so many scenarios in this, and the Men of Iron series uses rules. They're not identical to, but they're very comparable to that simple GBOH. They're at a very similar level. They're not identical, but they're a similar complexity level. And what I mean by that is eminently playable. So you have this medieval tri-pack. So you've gone from ancients to medieval stuff. So you've got Wars of the Roses in here, the Agincourt campaign, Crusades, all in one box.
And this one is so full, it's insane.
Yeah, like if I take this off, it is like up to the brim with stuffs. Maybe I should get the fancy pants stuff.
You probably need to.
They just released Norman Conquests, which is an individual volume. But even this has what, 6 or 7 battles in it?
7. And some of them are smaller, some are big.
Yeah, but if you like medieval stuff, and you should, you're going to get a really, really easy to learn and play system, and you get so many battles in this. I think on P500, this was like $60.
Yeah, it's crazy.
There's so much stuff in here. It's kind of wild.
And it's a solid system, right?
It's really good.
Very interesting system with a lot of interesting mechanics, but you get so much in these boxes. Once again, scenario based, so you're going to get a ton.
And you get everything in here, right? You're getting swords and shields, you're getting spears, you're getting cavalry, you're getting archers, you're getting knights. Like, there's so much variety. Like the Infidel box with the Crusades, totally different from the
Yeah.
Wars of the Roses stuff.
Yep.
But you get all of that in this one box. I'm really looking forward to Norman
Yeah,
Conquest.
this might end up being one that we put on our shelf of shame like next year because
that's from last
it
year?
came out last year.
Oh, that's a bummer.
And we got so many games I think at that time, and we only played 3 or 4 of them, and it's just along the same theme. And then I'll move on. But Battles of the American Revolution, BOAR, they have these tri-packs. This was the first tri-pack, Guilford, Saratoga, and Brandywine. These were previously like almost impossible to find.
And they were individual volumes.
Yeah, individual volumes that they've packaged into this tri-pack. They have announced the second tri-pack, which I think is going to be printing sometime this year. Amazing system, very approachable, but you really get the flavor of the American Revolutionary War combat style. I had a blast. We played Brandywine on this one. I want to revisit this. We also have White Plains and we have Rhode Island. And the Green Spring Plantation battle was just announced like a couple of months ago, and it's almost hit its P500. So it's a great system, got a great following. Every year at WBC, they've got a tournament going on. Last year, we were challenged to a 3-player game of Savannah. I unfortunately came down ill, and we never were able to get that played. But once again, tri-pack, chock full of stuff, and all 3 of these very hard to find right now individual volumes.
And this one's, some of these games, it's like, oh, there's 40 scenarios.
Yeah.
This one's only got 3. These are much bigger, much more in-depth scenarios.
Yeah.
You're playing a big map, and you will play each scenario for hours and hours and hours.
Yep.
So, just because the number of stuffs in the box is smaller doesn't mean it's less value. You're going to play these again and again and again. If you play each one of those only 3 or 4 times, you've still had the same number of hours compared to something like, this Commands and Colors box.
Yeah.
So if you like that, I think, again, they've got the great Battles of the American Civil War tri-pack. Very similar type of thing, right? Very in-depth, very big games. There's 3 of them in a box.
Yep.
In some of the instances.
Well, and then you've got, on top of that, the great campaigns of the American Civil War. Well, I don't believe they have like tri-packs or multi-game packs.
No, but you'll often get multiple campaigns in the same box.
So it's a huge game, but there might be one or 2 different battles in them. Those things are values because you're going to buy them, learn the system, be able to play it multiple times. You're also going to become addicted to it like Alexander has and chase down every volume that exists.
Those didn't quite make the list because they are upfront much more expensive.
Sure.
However, especially for something like On to Richmond 2, I think you can get it for $190 right now. But I think, MSRP was like $220.
Yeah.
But the amount of hours that you'll spend on that game, you probably will get your money's worth if you're doing that dollars and cents over time. So, and you could say the same thing for any system, but I didn't get those out because up front they're very. Whereas something like
they're a little more expensive.
You can buy this Boar tri-pack on P500 for like $60,
70 bucks. Yeah,
like you can really steal some value on some of those. That's for sure.
Let's do Wild Blue Yonder and this kind of together. They're both air war games.
Yeah, so these are two very different types of games.
This one uses miniatures. But not 3D miniatures, flat miniatures, but they're amazing.
And this is a
card-based,
right? So this is the Down in Flames system. So these kind of made the cut here because I think Wild Blue Yonder on P500 was
like $60.
Yeah,
50, 60
back
bucks.
in 2017.
Yeah.
And this was like $40.
This is the base game, and it was like $40.
And if you just buy this, you've got 10 scenarios.
There's more than you're going to play.
But the game itself, extremely good.
Yeah.
Really deep, really awesome, great fun, and a beautiful production for $40.
Little airplane minis that I'm going to get out.
You can't buy a game this size for $40 anymore.
No.
You're going to pay $40 for this these days.
Oh, and by the way, I did back the Fighters of Europe Kickstarter. They still haven't fulfilled it, but they did fulfill the stuff. I ended up going ahead and adding on because it was very affordable. The couple of things that I missed from not getting the Kickstarter, I just got the base game. So I don't know if you remember, this was the amount I got these like extra. There's
nice,
that
okay.
much more. So
And it's just more scenarios.
it's just more stuff. I mean, it's crazy. But it's a great little game. This is Fighters of the Pacific from Capsicum.
If you
really
just
enjoyed this.
buy the base game, $40, you're gonna have a great time.
I've got the
You can't buy any game
No.
for $40 anymore. Wild Blue Yonder is a bit more expensive, but this has like almost everything down in flames that GMT made. It's not quite that much, but it might as well be.
And this is an amazing game.
It's just
the
fun.
5 to 15 minutes is what the scenario is going to take you, and it's just two people battling.
But you can play it up to, I think this can play up to 4,
Right.
and then if you combine two to
Get a couple boxes.
8 players,
Yeah. What a blast.
it's this card game, right? So you're just going to play, you're going to sit
Yep.
in a tournament at WBC or just like hanging out at a convention with friends, and you're going to play it again and again and again and
Yeah.
again and again and again. And there are so many different planes in here, there's so many different settings and scenarios you can do, different combos. And again, you'll just go again, again, again. You will play this hundreds of times.
Oh, yeah.
And at that point, you know, especially if you got this at a good price, you're you know, very much in the money.
And for this one, there's no barriers to entry. The cards got everything on them that you need. It's literally just opposed card plays, right?
Yeah.
You did a corkscrew, or I'm going to do a counter maneuver.
Yeah, we're gonna do a scissors or whatever.
Yeah, it's just amazing.
And you know, and here they've got like there is the campaign stuff that you can do. There's a couple of different. There's all sorts of modules they've got in here.
We
So-
played this pretty early on in our wargaming
Yeah, I think
career.
because this came out in 2017.
and I just remember playing, I think we played it 5 or 6 times in a row, and I was just like, this is so fun.
It's just fun. Yeah.
And
because it's quick, it's also low stakes. It's intense when you're doing it, but then it's like, it's
well,
over.
and because it's a card game, right? Sometimes you're not going to get the cards that you need.
Sometimes you just die.
Yeah, and you're going to die. But guess what? It took 5 minutes, and you can just run it back, right? Set it up, go back again, and you'll get different luck. So I liked that these were both air war games that had a lot of punch to them, and they're just great games. Both of these games are fantastic.
Yeah.
I think the final one that I have, unless I can't remember if you had.
I got one more, but
One
it's not
more.
this.
I pulled this out because we have had a heck of a lot of fun with the Undaunted series. Started with Undaunted Normandy. The first expansion was North Africa, then Replacements, Reinforcements, I think it was called. All of those things added new and varied mechanics and situations, but then along came Undaunted Stalingrad. This was, I think, in 22, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
But
22.
This is a little different because it's a legacy style game. So you're going to buy this and you're going to play through almost 20 scenarios that are linked. And depending on which side wins, like if the Germans win, it'll tell you, well, then now you proceed to scenario 14.
Read this little booklet paragraph, and that gets you to different setup for this scenario and stuff.
And it's going to unfold and open new elements. We played, I'm trying to think, 6 or 7.
Yeah.
We never finished the campaign, but 6 or 7 had a blast. But it was cool to see how you got new stuff. You got like snipers one time, and then I got some mines one time, and it was just
tank, you get it.
Yeah, very interesting how it grows. And this system is going to, it's something you're going to play a lot of. It also has scenarios in the other ones, like Normandy and North Africa. You have a number of scenarios.
Well,
They're not legacy. And then Battle of Britain is the new one that we never got around to playing.
Normandy's a good one for this because it's cheap.
Yes.
Right? You get your 15 scenario, 12 scenarios in it, but it's also, that's one of the cheaper games you can get.
I think it's in
these
the
days,
40
right?
to 50 range.
This one's a bit more expensive,
This was like a $90 game.
but
Yeah.
you do get a lot in it.
And it's a very cool concept. I've enjoyed legacy games that we have played. Undaunted Stalingrad is just a fantastic game. David Thompson and Trevor Benjamin, and we've played every one of them with the exception of the Battle of Britain.
I think
But great value.
Last thing I wanted to talk about is unconditional surrender. And I'm using this kind of as a placeholder for some of those just big sandbox games. Because, again, if you buy this on the P500, it's probably like 80 or 90 bucks.
I have it P500.
Do you remember how much it was on there?
I don't.
Okay. It was sub 100 though.
I don't even think it was 80.
Yeah.
But
But like,
Anyway.
a game like this, you can play solo if you want to. You can play it 2-player if you want to. This is 2 maps, and it is the whole of the European theater. And you're going to play one game of this from start to finish will take you, you know, probably 100 hours, maybe more. But this can be as big or as small as you want it to be, because there are lots of different scenarios in it.
Yep.
And because this is a full sandbox, you can play it historically, or you can go like totally different.
Third printing is P500 $52.
I kid you not, if you don't do that,
Yeah.
you make a mistake.
And then the mounted maps, which I also went in for,
Which you don't need.
which you don't need, is $26.
Yeah, you won't be able to fit those in the box.
Well, I want to say it comes with a 3-inch box, but I could be wrong about that.
Even if it does, it's 2 mounted maps, and I don't have mounted maps, and it's like full. I don't know.
Okay, yeah. Sure.
If you, $52 for this big old game,
And it's an amazing game.
that is a value.
This is an amazing game because it's that grand strategic level, and it involves everything, right?
It has everything.
Movement, reinforcements, combat, maneuver, strategic bombing, politicking,
Yeah.
annexation of territory. It is an amazing game. At its heart, it's a hex encounter war game.
Yeah.
But it has everything. So it's one of those games that you're going to play and experience almost every aspect that focused on the war in Europe during World War II.
And it's just a really slick design where they condensed everything onto a single CRT.
Yep.
And you just have like modifiers. And
Germans
on-
always get a +1.
in land combat.
Land
right?
combat, always,
And so there's just what type of combat are we doing? We look at the modifiers for that, and then we add those, and then we roll. Everyone rolls on the same table, and then there's the land combat results chart. Right? It's really, really slick. A lot of games at this scale and size end up with like 50,000 play aids with 50,000 charts on them, and they did a really good job of not doing that. This is one of my favorite games ever.
I love it too. We played it last year, and I absolutely fell in love with it.
But I think there's a number of different types of games out there that this kind of could represent, right? If you find that one big sandboxy type game that you love, that's what it can be. So, you know,
Why have they never made a Pacific version of this?
I think because the constraints of the Pacific Theater are so different
Okay.
that you basically have to rework the entire naval system.
Okay.
And in order for you to like do what was done, I think you have to put on so many shackles. It would be really difficult. Now, why hasn't the World War I version
Well, we
seen the
saw
light of
that.
day? That was in 2017.
Yeah, I mean,
We saw Armistice.
that's 7 years ago, man.
But I also think part of that is how do you keep the Western theatre at this scale interesting? And I think that's quite difficult to do
Oh, yeah.
in a hex encounter game.
This game is amazing.
But yeah,
Love
these sandboxy games or these really big, grand games that are very detailed, that you can sink a lot of time into, have a value of their own. Especially if you can get them on a pre-order on a second edition or things like that, where you know it's good. You're not taking that gamble. I already know this is good. I
Yeah.
can pay the $52 up front and wash my hands because
Yeah.
I know I'm getting an excellent game out of it.
Yeah.
And
this is an excellent game.
yeah, that's there's a lot of value in that kinds of thing as well for people. And again, if you play a game a lot and that's what you like, that's valuable in and of itself. But bang for your buck, you will do a lot worse than 50
And this one, while it's a 2-player game, we did do it 4-player, right? A little bit.
Yeah.
One player controlled the Soviets, one player controlled Germany, the Western Allies, and then one guy had the Italians in North Africa.
Which, those are going to drop in and out.
But that was interesting that game was that malleable, that we could do that, and it ended up working. So
the only other one that I think is a really good one, not the only other one, but something that I think is really good, is something like the World at War 85.
yeah,
For that same reason. Because this is all formation-based activations,
you could
it's
divvy it
really
up.
easy for people to drop in, drop out, do team games, and so it's a massive game.
Yeah.
But like, I'm doing my stuff over here, you're doing your stuff over there, and you'll get through these big games that normally would take 2-3 times as long.
Yeah.
It's crazily organized, split between 2 boxes.
Yeah, so crazy.
So there's some of these massive games out there that are eminently playable, even though they might look daunting.
Yeah.
And if you get a group together or you get a dedicated player, this is $100 plus, but the value you'll get out of it as a rich, long-term game, well worth it.
Yeah.
Without question.
Yeah.
So, hopefully, we went through a lot of different stuff here.
Yep.
Hopefully that was helpful or enlightening, perhaps. If you have games out there that you think that you've gotten great value from, or that were just like an insane bargain, MSRP for what's in the box, let us know.
Yeah.
We want to know that too. Yeah, so let us know in the comments. But either way, appreciate you very much for tuning in. I've been Alexander with PlayersAid.com.
And I'm Grant.